Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES right now. In the previous session, we were looking for a reaction of the previous week's low price. How is price going to respond to 44.20? And the initial reaction was a bullish reaction. In overnight trading, the retest from above was also defended and price was able to bounce into the close. And again, one of the early thoughts for the week was if we can see an early reaction here at the previous week's low, we could be looking at price snapping back to the previous week's midpoint, which is 44.57. Today's high, 44.55.75. So it's about a point, maybe 5 ticks off that midpoint. But then also looking for the potential outside week as well. By the end of the week, can we go find the previous week's high price? That could be the next target there. That's about 44.94. So looking at price rallying back toward that level by the end of the week. Now early this week, again, we mentioned not a whole lot on the economic calendar here. Tuesday here we have FOMC member Bullard speaking at 8 a.m. Central Time. You have EIA short-term energy outlook, 3-year note auction, and API weekly crude oil stock later on. So not a whole lot there, but Wednesday morning prior to the RTH Open, we do get inflation data. That's going to be a huge one there. Beige book also Wednesday, so we could be looking at bigger movement and volatility here in the days ahead. Right now, 2-day range could be in play, sideways with an upward bias, and again, price bulls want to keep that previous week's low bid at all costs. Any failure there, and you could be opening up quite the move down below. So keeping an eye on the previous week's low still. If we take a look here at the NQ, you'll notice here again, previous week's low price right there rejected, or at least early in the day. There was multiple tests at that zone over the course of the day, but for the most part finishing the session within a digestive type of range. We have another narrow range here that's played out here heading into the RTH Open, just 62.25 points of range. That is 30% of average right now, 30% of average, so very, very modest price action at the moment. And of course, this previous week's low is the key level there to continue to watch. Ultimately, you're looking for a return back to the previous week's midpoint. That previous week's mid is about 15,270. And then you're looking for perhaps a continuation to the previous week's high, which would take you back toward 15,430. So right now, looking for this thing to continue to hold the previous week's low with a sideways to upward approach over the course of the week. Taking a look here at crude oil. You see crude oil here, and you'll notice a big run to the upside and shaking off weakness. This initial 4-day run here had a strong top start to develop. The very next day, big time push through that midpoint to a new high. Then you had big time selling pressure to begin the day, finish strong here, breakout through 2-day highs, holding pattern, inside day with an upward bias. So this market has been able to shake off some weakness in the short term. You'll see it right here playing back toward the top end of this range. So that's the 67 bottom end of the trading range. You have the top end right here at 75, and we're coming into the top end of that range here, coming into some value measurements here by way of the yearly or year-to-date VWAP. Now overall, we could be looking at another day or two until we start to top out a bit. If we start to top out or find a little bit of a top here in the 75-76 zone, we could be looking at a quick snap back to 70, which has been a sticky level, and perhaps a retest of 67 up ahead. In order for us to see an upside breakout from this trading range here, you need a really big transition day up. A transition day that's going to take you well through 76 and likely even through 77 by the end of the day, in which case you open up the potential for 83.52 up above. So keeping an eye on 75 up ahead, as it could lead to the next key reaction for this market. Taking a look here at gold futures. Gold up about 0.4%, retesting the 1940 level from below. This level, big time clear level in the chart here. It's an FOMC key level. It is the bottom of the pivot range. It's clear visual resistance. We've had a very clear downtrend here, but we haven't really seen the appetite for new lows just yet. Instead, any bears that have gotten in over the course of the last week here are not getting paid, and that's when a stop run could develop. So any push through 1950 could open up a return back to 2000 up above. Keeping an eye on this zone still, as just before a drop you could see an attempt higher followed by a false breakout that could lead to a continuation to the downside. So watching to see how this thing approaches right now, as this market right now, again, not eager to go down just yet, but also staying below key prior support and retesting from below here, which could lead to a big time reaction here very, very soon. Lastly, taking a look here at the YM. YM here with a big time bounce. This was late in the previous session here, actually the right off the 2 o'clock a.m. Central Time there. This thing rallied off these lows, but even late in the day, this thing found a way to push through the previous session's midpoint and close strong. So it was a tremendous reversal throughout the session. It has now bounced off the 33.8 zone. We talked about that level being important. If it can hold it, you have a shot to bounce all the way back up to 34.6, maybe even as high as 34.8. So there could be an 800 to 1,000 point rally here off of these lows. At the moment, you're seeing an early bounce and a strong low develop, so you have a range bound with an upward bias. Now the YM and RTY were the most bullish in the previous session, and we could be looking at those leading this market back toward recent highs. So again, keeping an eye on this zone. You want to see price continue to hold 34K on a closing basis, and you want to see this thing continue to rotate back toward 34.6 by the end of the week. That's it for now. We'll see how this plays out here heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.